What's up, everybody? Thanks again for joining me on today's episode of In the Pink. And if you are not familiar with what that term means, that is a term coined way back in the 1500s, before pink was even a color. And it had to do with wishing someone their optimum health and happiness. So this week we are taking a look at gut health, and we are filling in that blank with food allergies. But as always, we're always gonna start out with a what we know. So my first what we know that by definition, a food allergy refers to an abnormal immune response that our body puts out as a reaction to a harmless protein in food. And this reaction can be anything from very mild to very severe. So think of like an itchiness all the way up to an anaphylactic reaction where your throat is actually closing up and you're having trouble breathing. Now, a lot of people feel that they have an allergy to a food because it just doesn't agree with them after they've eaten it. An intolerance is when somebody gets bloating or diarrhea or some such thing after consuming a food. They are different. Now, one of the most common food allergies out there would be this gluten allergy, right? So celiac disease, when our body is not breaking down that protein. Now, a common example of a food intolerance would be dairy sensitivity, right? You get bloating or you get some diarrhea after you have dairy products. And that again is because our body is lacking the enzyme to break down that protein. And my second what we know that food allergies have increased about 50% in kids since 1997. And of course, there's various theories on why this is happening. And I think these are all very valid theories. It's our lifestyle in this day and age, which includes a diet very different from what our ancestors had. It includes lots of antibiotic use. It's in part because of our rise of C-section births. And all these things have definitely had an impact on the gut microbiome. Shocker, I know. It's estimated in the United States alone, 8% of kids are affected with food allergies. And my next what we know that food allergies don't affect digestion. It's the opposite. Digestion affects food allergies. So a food allergy is simply its lack of digestion, right? It's not the food's fault. It is our body's fault in not knowing how to break that food down. In fact, our digestive system and our immune system are one in the same thing. It doesn't care whether it's a germ or whether it's a food. It's gonna react to it either based on seeing it as a threat to our health or seeing it as a nutrient. And when working well, it's gonna digest them both the way it ought to. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the gut's role in all this. First of all, let's go over some treatments that have been known over the years. So the first thing, avoid the food, right? If you're allergic to peanuts, avoid peanuts. That's what we do. And then you carry around some epinephrine just in case you do have that exposure. However, this approach certainly doesn't address the cause, does it? The second thing, immunotherapy. So our bodies are exposed to a small amount of this allergen. Okay, so let's take the peanut again. You are given small doses of this peanut day after day or week after week until your body starts to tolerate that food source better. However, it's only effective in some cases, and again, it doesn't get to the root of the issue. So the current trend in thinking now, is this gut related? And that is where the focus has shifted to. And yes, researchers have identified the causes here. It does have to do with antibiotic use on the rise, cesarean sections on the rise, and also just the lack of exposure to microbes during childhood, as well as our diets, because all of these things also affect our gut microbiome. All right, let's move on. There's a famous gal by the name of Catherine Nagler, and this immunologist out of Chicago, Illinois, has spent decades probing these links between our immune system, our intestinal bacteria, and the onset of allergies. In fact, way back in 2004, her and her colleagues reported that wiping out the immune system in mice led to food allergies. And ever since then, she has been trying to nail down what specific bacteria offer allergy protection and how in the world they accomplish that. So let's start with a little case in point from one of her studies. They found early on that mice who were given antibiotics were way more susceptible to have peanut allergies. And wouldn't you know, in the US alone, the average child under the age of 2 has already had 3 courses of antibiotic therapy. All right, back to the mice. So then they introduced a solution containing Clostridia. And we know that this is a common bacteria found in our gut. And lo and behold, the peanut allergy subsided. And when these scientists introduced another common bacteria, a beneficial one, Bacteroides, they did not see that same result. And after further study, they determined that this Clostridia strain kept these peanut proteins out of the bloodstream, which means that that bacteria had to do with maintaining the integrity of the gut lining. And the reason being here, this Clostridia strain produces a metabolite, butyrate. And we know that butyrate feeds beneficial bacteria strains in our gut, as well as helping maintain the integrity of the gut lining and keeping food proteins from leaking through and therefore potentially causing this allergic reaction. And this reasoning kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that the common food allergens out there, which are these proteins found in milk, found in eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, soy, wheat, shellfish, have little biochemical resemblance. However, what they do have in common is the ability to remain intact in our digestive system. And that seems to be what makes Mr. Peanut here a superstar in allergies, because it resists this degradation in the gut. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Now the next thing here, they're going on to research the prevalence of these allergies happening and occurring earlier in life, childhood. So case in point here, there was a study done where they analyzed feces from a group of healthy babies and then from a group of babies that had allergies to eggs and milk in particular. And the results came in showing that these children had very different bacteria growing in their guts. Another bigger study tracked 226 kids that all had milk allergies, and they tracked them up to age 8. And the scientists found that the specific strain, again, of bacteria, this Clostridia, was abundant in the stool samples when these kids were in the age bracket of 3 to 6 months. And that happened to be the group that outgrew this allergy. Okay, a few more rapid fire comparisons here. Researchers have found that infants who consume diets that are rich in vegetables, fruits, and foods cooked at home, even during this first year after birth, have a less prevalence of developing food allergies. And again, these researchers also have observed the difference in the gut microbiome flora in those individuals with food allergies and without. And they're finding that this healthy gut flora, meaning it's made up of many varieties of good gut bacteria, somehow train the immune system and our bodies to tolerate food triggers. It's pretty fascinating. All right, another one. Studies in children and infants have shown that certain changes, even in the gut microbiome, are associated with developing food allergies. Specifically, decreases in lactobacillus, increases in Staphylococcus aureus have been linked to egg and milk allergies. And to back it up even more, there were studies done in pregnant mamas where they were given lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, and the infants were shown to have less food allergies and less food sensitivities when moms were supplementing with these good gut bacteria. And another study done among infants that were allergic to cow's milk, those kids were supplemented with Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and it helped these kids to tolerate these milk proteins and actually reverse this sensitivity. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to some healthy practices, some things that we can be doing on a daily basis to improve our health picture. Well, I'm always gonna start with diet. So first of all, following a diet that's nutrient dense, but specifically for food allergy reasons, diets rich in vitamin C, beta carotene, and zinc have been shown to be effective in reducing food allergies. And as always, we want to be reducing processed foods. Also decrease sugar intake and decrease antibiotic use. Antibiotic use should be reserved for when it really is necessary. The next one, genetically modified foods. Now this is a new area, but researchers are already starting to speculate that eating these genetically modified foods can predispose you to food allergies because it's modifying those proteins. Okay, the next one, consider supplementation with probiotics and with prebiotics. We know that supplementing with probiotics is going to increase the number of these commensal or the good gut bacteria strains. And of course, these do interact with our gut's immune system and they help us tolerate foods. Not only that, but having a good gut microbiome that is very much diversified in good gut bacteria reduces the permeability of our gut lining, keeping that thing intact to where we're not getting these proteins seeping and leaking out into our bloodstream, hence causing an allergy or an allergic reaction. And with the prebiotic piece, we know that the prebiotics are there to feed the probiotics, like this butyrate we talked about, right? And there are many studies out there demonstrating this link between prebiotic fibers and having a lower incidence of allergic reactions. And while we're speaking of supplementation, let's get to the best part. Let's talk plexus. Let's talk plexus and how plexus can play a role into your health picture. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the TRIPLEX like we do every week. And it just so happens that the microbiome activating slim has prebiotic fiber. The PROBIO 5 is our premium probiotic that is freeze dried. It is guaranteed to get those 5 strains of probiotics to the gut where they need to populate and thrive. Not only that, it's got an enzyme blend in there to help get rid of the overgrowth of bad gut bacteria that we have in our gut. And of course, the BIOCLEANSE, a fantastic magnesium supplement that also gives us a gentle daily cleanse, helping us eliminate the yuck on a daily basis. And of course, VITALBIOME, introducing 8 different strains of probiotics into our gut to give us good diversity. Well, hello. Enter Editing Kelly. So I'm down at the lake editing this video and realize I have not put the children's line in here. It is so fitting because all these studies link these food allergies going all the way back to childhood, right? So get your child's gut microbiome balanced. The pink drink is not just for mamas and papas. The next thing, let's talk about the collagen. The collagen has been shown to help keep the integrity of our gut lining solid. And if you don't think that's a big deal, Google leaky gut and start reading a little bit about that. It's just not food allergies that this leaky gut is responsible for. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you this week. And if you are new to this plexus train and have no idea what I am talking about, I'm gonna list in that description box my link. Get on there, nose around, ask me some questions. Curiosity will get you on this train every time. I'm also gonna include in the description box some other videos I've done in the past. So if you want some quick links where you can learn a little bit more about the products we've talked about and some current playlists we have going. And in case you want to catch a few more episodes of In the Pink, I will have the playlist right up here. And you just might want to join me here again next week because what happens in the gut does not stay in the gut. It affects everything, which is going to lead into many more episodes of In the Pink.